Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Husna Nisah Khairani, and today I'm going to talk about second and foreign language acquisition. So, for the introduction, we will take the example from the a character from novel Night Train to Lisbon by Pascal Mercier, which is Raymond Raymond Gregoris. So he is an Swiss German descendant which speaks master in languages like Greek, Latin, and Hebrew, so the old languages. And he is less interested in modern languages, although his former wife speak for Spanish. And one day when he is driving home, he met a woman who want to jump down a bridge. So when he tried to stop her, he talks to her in French. And when he answered, he noticed when she answered, he noticed that when speaking French, that girl have like slightly different way from the way he's speaking. So after succeeded in convincing her to step down, he asked her, what is your mother tongue? What's your language do you uh, speak for the first one?" And she tell him Portuguese. And he since that time he becomes interested in learning Portuguese by buying books and study by himself, learning by himself, to the point that he come to Portuguese speaking countries to see the environment, to have the interaction with native of Portuguese. And this is highlight about the age of the language learner, second language learner, or foreign language learner, which is actually controversial about the language that people learn, about the age that people when people learn a language. This is highly connected with the concept of interlanguage, which is a language that acquire after the first language, like the first foreign language, second language. And what the next point is like is what makes somebody a good language learner. So actually there's no fixed psychological profile about this one. What about what category that someone has to fit to be considered as a good language learner, what the benchmark, so there's no about it. And this concept emphasize on like multi-competence. So the idea is that people who are multilingual or bilingual or involved in multilingualism can affect their it can affect their cognitive process, like their competence, so they become more competent in many fields. And also the most important thing in this one actually is motivation, because and motivation which is different for each person's. Maybe it can uh, come from the social environment, their job, or their culture, or their family, or even themselves. And researchers have made a statement that motivation, emotional investment, and also situational struggles, it triggers, are more important than innate talent or aptitude or talent. Yeah. And also for this one, for the next one is about the language age effects, and the critical period hypothesis. It is the researchers focus on critical periods, which is age in which some people is difficult to learn a new language. That what is critical period. So they do some research about it. And for the result of the research about the critical period hypothesis is that those who learn from a lower age or a younger age tend to get better results, higher score in grammatical based task or something like that. And also for this one, age actually to do this, to do the previous one, like what make people a good language learners, the researchers used two approaches. The first one is like uh, epic. It is the quantitative one. So clinical perspective, have they are able to have large sample, but the limitation is that they cannot get that deep for the information. And for the second one is amic, which is like the qualitative one. It is when the participants voice is heard by the researchers. It is the limitation is that it cannot be applied. It is hard to apply it on a large scale, but we can get deep information from this one. And to go back to the previous one about the age effects, it is stated that people at the older age, they undergo like declination in their procedural memory, which is which make them has limited ability in learning language implicitly. And for the next one, we have previous previously learned languages. So it is the concept for this one is like uh, our knowledge in our first language is actually an advantage for learn a new language. The concept of this one is highly connected to affordances. Our prior knowledge will affect our learning in new language. And for this one, what we're talking about? Yeah, like previously non-language. So people who have knowledge in multiple languages tend to tend to be easier to learn a new language because they can apply their learning strategies from language that they are already mastered to the new language that they want to learn. And people who have high proficiency in their first language is actually already have the advantage to learn a new language because yeah, they already fulfill the threshold, like we talked before in the previous video about the threshold hypothesis. So they already reached that benchmark, so they can apply that their learning strategies in that one. And also for the non-linguistic aspect, people who are involved in multilingualism is they tend to get an increase in cognitive empathy or and also cognitive empathy and also the ability to tolerate ambiguity. So they also suffer less of anxiety in foreign languages. And after that, we will talk about the instructional environment and also authentic use. So what is instructional environment? It is actually a setting. It is actually a setting in which uh, content area or skills is organized, represented, and explained to learners. So those who are learning in instructed environment tend to get a higher score in grammar, in tasks that involve grammar. When there are who learn in an instructed environment, which is like daily life, they tend to get better in meaning. It is yeah. It also in teaching, we also have to approach the first one is explicit with explicitly, which is focusing on form, grammar, and something like that, and also implicit, which is focusing on meaning. And for the natural knowledge of natural linguistic knowledge of people, we also have explicit and implicit. The explicit one is like people know that they have that knowledge and people have the knowledge and they know it, and for the implicit one they have the knowledge but they do not know it. So that's the concept. And next is the transition from second language learners to second language users. So this is most people usually undergone a pattern for this one, the same pattern for this one, from being formal at first, then monostylistic users, and then they became adaptive users of the second language with real interaction in real life. That's all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.